Hello and welcome back to another video. In this episode I'm diving with a subscriber, Floyd. He hit me up on YouTube for a dive, so we made it happen. That same weekend we got out and had a pretty good time out there. Really fun person to dive with. He was smiling pretty much the whole time, and he also had a boat, which helps of course. Here is an accidental time lapse of getting in. First I'm chucking my fins on, getting in the water. Floyd hands me my gun. I breathe up for a little bit and take a drop just to check on the anchor, make sure that's sitting alright. Always important when you're anchoring a boat to make sure the anchor's set right. Diving conditions this day definitely weren't ideal, but luckily the visibility was there, and so was the swell and chop, but hey, still good diving. After checking the anchor, I breathe up on the surface before descending down again. When I'm on my way down, I pretty much land almost on top of a porae, quite a large one. This is a fish I wouldn't usually shoot, but I wasn't aware of what I'd be running into this day, so I decided to take it. And better to end up with something than nothing, because I very well could have. Solid shot here. That cording away shot's always a good one to take. Holds on to a lot of flesh. There's pretty much no chance of your fish breaking off if you get a shot like this. Unfortunately the porae made a break for it and headed straight underneath the anchor line. At this point, as I'm seeing what's happening, I decided to loosen off my reel and give it some line and make it to the surface without fighting this fish underwater, putting myself in an unnecessarily dangerous situation. I know this fish isn't going to get free, so I decided to take my time and not rush it, not put myself in a dumb situation if I don't have to. After a while I managed to work this fish free and get it up to the surface. Still was quite a bit of fight in it. This was a pretty hearty porae. A lot of time they'll kind of just roll over and give up, but this one wasn't too keen. As soon as I get this fish to the surface, I have my knife out ready to icky and bleed it. This fish was making it pretty difficult for me. Like, I would take my hand off the tail to go for the gills and it'd thrash around.
Good shit, mate.
Yeah, cheers.
Too easy.
Yeah, I thought about whether to shoot or not. I was like, fuck it, I don't know how many other chairs I gotta get, so I might as well take it.
Well, you were right about the swell, eh?
Yeah. Oh well, I'll bleed this, get in the boat, then I'll come join you. I always like to joke around when the conditions are shit. I'll be like, yeah bro, this is when the big ones come out. And this time it actually paid off. Shortly after this, Floyd calls me over and gets me to swim down and check out this ledge. I wasn't expecting a whole lot, but upon getting there, loaded up with crayfish. And they're all hanging right out of the crack. Could have easily grabbed them, but this time we just left them be. It's really nice diving with someone who has a similar mindset as you. We're both focused on the sustainability aspect, so we left these ones and just had a look. There was even quite a large octopus hanging out behind them. In New Zealand there are over 50 species of octopus. Only a handful of these you're actually going to find in shallow water. I was able to identify this as a common Sydney octopus due to the eye colour. I honestly have no idea what these crayfish were up to. They didn't seem too worried about me and Floyd being there. Neither about the octopus. You think they'd be facing towards the octopus trying to fend themselves off it, but nah, they weren't too concerned really. Quite odd. Yo, that's so sick. See that octopus? Yeah, there's an octopus in the crack behind them. Here's Floyd making a dive to check out the octopus I told him about. It was quite a good size. Like, I've seen octopus up to 1 meter, and this would probably be nearing that size. One of the larger ones I've seen for sure. Here's another little dive, just checking out these crayfish, getting a bit of footage. I was expecting to see the octopus again, but for whatever reason he had moved off. Maybe we had scared him. It's really quite unusual to see crayfish acting this way. A lot of times they'll be in cracks all the way to the back as far as they can get away from you as soon as they see you and you get close. But these ones just really weren't worried. Here's a cute little red moki coming to check out what all the commotion's about. Always quite inquisitive fish. Best to leave them alone, because they live in the same area for a long time and they don't even taste very good either. I made a dive in this area to check out the eagle ray, and when I made it to the bottom I saw this interesting variety of triple fin. I spent about an hour researching, trying to find out like an accurate identification for this, but I wasn't able to find one, so if you know, let me know. I'm very interested. It's a common misconception to think that eagle rays are harmless because they're not a stingray by name. However, they do still have quite a venomous barb on the back, so you don't want to get too close. It's okay to get close, they're not an aggressive animal, but don't get too close. It may seem like an unusual place for this egret to position itself, but if you consider the fact that its main defense mechanism is on the back, if you put yourself in a crack face outwards, nothing's going to be able to come in there and get you. So this was a bit of a bad idea. I'd willingly put myself in an area where I saw there was quite a bit of swell as well as rocks around, just to see what was there, maybe a snapper sleeping up where it's a little bit sheltered. In the gut there's a couple blue mau mau milling around. This is quite common. They seem to like these calm areas and areas that are quite turbulent. As I'm making my way to the surface, my attention is drawn by an old cray pot, which distracts me. I get a bit too close to it, and as I make my way up to the surface, I'm hit over the head by quite a large wave. It really disorientates me. This is probably one of the scariest situations I've had in the ocean. I don't know what was going on. I thought I could be smashed into a rock or something. I really had no idea. Always nice after a situation like this to find yourself intact as well as all your gear still being there. Always quite nice and a good learning experience. I'm not going to put myself in a situation that stupid ever again, hopefully. I'd spent a little while hunting butterfish, finding nothing really of size until this one comes along. Illegal fish, I could have shot him, but I was after something a little bit bigger. I don't like shooting small fish. So I let him go, just had a look, and he was on his way. Unfortunately, I didn't come across any large ones this day. After that rather turbulent experience, we decided to make our way around the back side of the island where it's a lot more sheltered. Somehow, despite the calmness, the visibility was much worse here, as well as there being very, very little in the way of fish life is almost hilariously bad. I haven't seen many areas this devoid of life, honestly. Here I am waiting on the bottom of a weed line. A tried and true technique to get fish to come to you and shoot them. Very effective, you can get a lot of fish to come in. Unfortunately this time I only had one little spotty. I find that fish will often congregate in areas of high water current. This area had no water current. If you look at the kelp, it's not moving at all. Real bad for finding fish. I begin my set way before my breath hold. Pretty much resigning myself to the fact that this spot is dead. I'm not going to shoot anything on this dive especially.
Yeah, pretty bad.
We have a couple more drops, not many, before getting out of there. Luckily on one of my last ones I had a couple leather jackets swim up to me, and I actually quite like eating this fish honestly, so I decided to take one home as it was a quiet day. After that fiasco, we decided to head out back into the rough waters where all the fish seem to be hanging out for whatever reason. Definitely a lot more fish life in this area. However, there just wasn't much worth shooting, so I didn't shoot anything. Winter diving can be like this quite often. It's usually quite a lot more difficult than summer. You don't have those school of pelagic fish coming through very often. Yeah, it makes for hard diving, so I'm glad I took the porae when I did. Otherwise I'd have like a leather jacket and go home with that. Certainly not one of my most action-packed adventures, however, always good to be out there. I feel like this is an accurate representation of what diving in winter's like. It's hard work, and you got to take the opportunities as they come. As always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, Floyd, for coming out with me this day.